What's up, guys and gals? It's your host with the most, Griever, as always. And happy Thanksgiving to everyone who celebrates up in the great white north of Canada. Because it's Thanksgiving weekend. Now, that being said, Ayakashi Triangle. Latest chapter review. And I can't believe I think I'm going to say it. My favorite chapter this week. I'm serious. Like, not just of what I review. I like it better than the Black Clover chapter, the One Piece chapter, the Dr. Stone chapter, My Hero Academia, Red Hood, PPPPPPP, all of it. Sacramento Days, all of it. Blue Box, Elusive Samurai, all of them. I think this is my favorite chapter this week. And maybe it's only because I've been following this series, which is not a great series. Let's be real. It's average at best. Fan servicey without the cool battle powers like Fairy Tail, right? And very tropey. But I want to talk about this chapter for a minute because it's not necessarily this chapter. It's because would I have kept up with this series? Was I not reviewing it? Maybe. Maybe not. Because as you guys know, I was getting very irritated by the fact that we were 30 chapters in, 40 chapters in, 50 chapters in, and no real plot. No real over arc, nothing like that, right? No real structure. Villain of the week, 90s cartoon, Saturday morning. Which is fine if that's what they were going for, but I expected a little more. And now all of a sudden, in the last 5 to 7 chapters, we've been getting... We had the hints of it, and now it's come to fruition, and now we're here, and I think we're here to stay for longer than just a few more chapters. Like, I don't think this is going to be over by December. I think into the new year, we're still going to be within this plot line. I hope we are, because it's really, really good. It's starting to get good. It's when you have a cast of characters that people like, the story can almost write itself very easily around it. It's not difficult when you have well-liked characters, well-noticed characters, well-drawn characters, and then just put them in a situation. The situation doesn't need to be anything Lord of the Rings level to be good, right? So, in this particular instance, this chapter also culminates in that. And it's ironic, and I think this is a great callback, because this is the one villain. This is, in my opinion, this is the one villain who actually was a threat. This entire series, 60 chapters strong, the only, other than the latest villain, the Jinyu that is my, the original Ayakashi medium, the last reincarnation. Other than her, Hinojiki was our one and only real threat of a villain. And the only one who lasted more than a chapter to 2, right? And we get a flashback to that at the beginning of this chapter. And here, what are we getting from him? Because he's been revived, but he's very small. He's like childlike almost in a sense. He's still got his personality and all that stuff. But he's just, he seems to be lacking in a little bit of strength and power and such. So he is reminiscing about the fact that why did Suzu cry when I died? And remember, at that time he said, that really makes me lose my appetite. Now, we're seeing in this chapter, as he goes through it, he decides to try to get his revenge on Matsuri. Matsuri goes to the pool and the bathtub and all this stuff, trying to wash off the mark. And we see it's still there. It's faded, just like we were talking about last chapter with the permeation like a tattoo, like ink does. And since it is ink-based, it's an artist jutsu, it makes a lot of sense. So now Shirogane even says the same thing, that the curse won't last forever. It'll wear off with time, as it is ink. Eventually it'll dissolve, or weaken to the point that you'll break it. But for right now, Suzu needs to protect Matsuri, and that's what Suzu is so happy about. Now, Matsuri is not that thrilled about this, because, of course, he believes he's just going to be a burden because he's the protector. This isn't a sexist thing or whatever, just in case anybody's still curious about that, because people get weird when it's gender bent and blah, blah, blah. But, especially in today's day and age. But it's simply that he's always been the protector. he doesn't, it's not that it's not okay for Suzu to fight or Suzu to stand on her own 2 feet. It's that he feels like a burden. If he is the one needing the protecting, if he feels like the princess or the damsel in distress or the weak one, then if he's not pulling his weight equal or more, then he just feels like he's being a burden. That's the issue there. So, and we see that while he's going, and he actually did go to the bathroom, and he's going to go take a leak, blah, blah, blah. Sit down rule is best when you're drinking anyway, so I salute you, Matsuri. Whether you're gender bent or not, sit down. Don't stand up. I mean, spillage does happen, and urinals are disgusting. I never use one, so, kudos to you. Kudos. Sit down method is always top tier. Now, so this is where we get Hinojiki showing up over the stall. You're finally alone. I'm going to kill you. Prepare to die. And then Matsuri, pervert, boom, smacks him with the door and stuff like that. But of course, it was just a bit of a ploy because Matsuri is waiting outside the door to kick down, and then all of a sudden it's like, all right. So even though Matsuri doesn't have his Winjutsu, he still, of course, is a ninja. He's still a martial artist. He's still capable of fighting. And then this is where Hinojiki stomach growls, down for the count. At first I'm like, okay. Maybe this chapter isn't so great. Maybe this is just a typical Ayakashi chapter, right? But no, ladies and gentlemen. No. Because what happens here is that at first you're thinking, okay, the pervert thing, this is comedy, and the whole going to the bathroom and blah, 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 and the growling stomach, oh, I haven't eaten in so long, that sort of trope. It's like, oh, really? No. After this point, halfway through the chapter, now we get serious mode. Hinojiki isn't eating. Remember, the reason Hinojiki was so powerful, why a Jinyo is so powerful, is that you gain power by eating and absorbing other Ayakashi. That's how he grows. This would explain why he's still in his chibi form. He probably grew to full proportions by eating others and continues to claim, I don't have an appetite. Now let's remember when he died. Suzu crying made him lose his appetite. And even though he's been revived in some dark method, we're assuming, he is still doesn't have an appetite, doesn't want to eat. And this is where Mai is sort of like taunting him about it and blah, 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 saying, like, I don't even know if it's possible for an Ayakashi to go against the purpose. The reason an Ayakashi forms is to fulfill a purpose of their existence. Your purpose was to eat. If you don't eat, how are you still, how are you still here? So, very, very interesting. So, this is where he wakes up. They bring Hinojiki back to the house, and we see Roka, we see the mirror, we see Shirogane and stuff, and they're all like, fine, like, tell us where Garaku is, tell us what's going to go on, we're going to kill this one, we're going to freeze you to death, blah, blah, blah. And this is where Matsuri's like, no. We're not doing any of that. So this is where Matsuri makes up some good reasoning here, because remember, Hinojiki did inevitably save Matsuri from Mai in the lake, right? Kunai, blah, 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 all that shit. So, Matsuri claims, I owe you one for saving me back in the forest. So she remembered, and man, that gets confusing. But he remembered that that's what happened, and that's the way it was taken, right? So, going off from here, we can acknowledge that Matsuri recognized that that's exactly what Hinojiki did, regardless of his words. This is where Hinojiki said, using the engulfing shadow, if we remember that, way back when, the engulfing shadow, that he can drain his life force at any time that he wants. Matsuri counters with, so do it. What's stopping you? And this Hinojiki does not do it. Now, Suzu comes in. She's eating a donut, of course, because she's always eating. I mean, the thickness is only thickness when a girl goddamn eats. We can't have a woman that thick that don't eat, right? But she basically is trying to say something to Hinojiki, and of course, swallow your donut first, yada, 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 because she loves her sweets. Now, this is where we get it that according to Matsuri, Hinojiki has changed. Hinojiki is different from before, and Hinojiki finally breaks down and basically says, no matter how hungry I get, I don't feel like eating. I don't want to eat. And it's because of you. And we see the flashback of make me lose my appetite. And why did you cry when I was dying? I did terrible things to you. You should have been happy, yet you cried as I died. And you weren't crying because you were hurt. You weren't crying because it was over. It weren't happy tears. You cried for me because I was dying. Why did you do that? And once again, this is why the chapter is really good. We're jumping back to one of the only good-shaped villains in the series, which has been a relatively average series at best. And now we're jumping back to his character development. One of the only good written villains, and now he's getting more character development. And this is a classic thing. Don't get me wrong, the whole why were you crying thing. You know, we had that in Inuyasha, we had that in Kenshin, we had that in Bleach, we had that in Toriko, we had that in so many series. Seven Deadly Sins happened. It's happened in so many shonen series that it's not like it's never been done before, but it's nice to see that the same level is now starting to slowly be applied to Ayakashi Triangle. Some better writing is now starting to take form, take shape right here with this, because Hinojiki, as I said, one of the good written villains of the series, and now being showcased as such and trying to make sense. As he was reborn, he can't eat anymore. When he died, he lost his appetite because of Suzu's reaction to his death. And now, even though he's reborn, he can't fill his stomach. He can't fill the void. So Suzu, after this lashing out, this tongue lashing that Hinojiki gives, Suzu says it's a secret. But if you think about it, and when you figure out the answer, I'm sure you'll be reborn. So Suzu seemingly is trying to show and help Hinojiki. Of course, that's very within Suzu's character. And then this is where, once again, the plot thickens. Without this page, this would be, okay, good chapter, not great chapter. Here's where we're getting layers. We're getting layers like an ogre, but the onions would get into layers. So the thing is that now, the moment Hinojiki was trying to figure this out, and everything's going, Mai has a black origami apparently inside of Hinojiki, the Jinyo's body, and she claims there's no need for that. I knew you were useless. You have me on your side. What are you hoping that happens here, Hinojiki? And if this goes down, this could go down a very Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. This could go down a very much greed arc with Hinojiki. This could very much go down a greed arc. It's been done in Toriko. It's been done in Full Metal Alchemist. It's been done in other series. And I don't wish to necessarily spoil, but let's just say, in case you haven't read any of those series, 3, 2, 1, okay, the idea is that they're hungry for friendship. I know it sounds so cheesy, but they're hungry for love and acceptance and friendship. And it should, we sort of groan at that and stuff because the power of friendship, yada, yada, yada. But we're not talking about a power-up. We're talking about a character development. Is that the reason they eat so much is that they feel isolated. They feel alone. It's a very real-world problem with depression and anxiety and stuff like that. Real-world disorders have this issue. And people push people away because of trust issues, because of depression, because of isolation. There's a lot of issues realistically seen here. And Hinojiki was able to satisfy his hunger with Ayakashi before, but ever since the encounter with Suzu, now that was never actually satiating his hunger. That's why he continued to eat. He continued to eat to try and fill a void. The void was acceptance. The void was friends. The void was love. Those key elements. I know it sounds cheesy, but Ayakashi Triangle has almost every major trope in the fucking shonen handbook. So I'm not against that storyline trope. It's been done many times with many characters, and I've never disliked it. I've never disliked the idea of the gluttonous or the greedy or the, I just need to fill this hole in my heart, and in the end, it's just what they need is someone to actually, without using them or benefiting from them, just somebody to care about them because they're them, for no ulterior motive. It's been done in Western television dramas. It's been done in many mangas, both seinen and shonen and shoujo. It's been done in so many things. And if it's done here with Hinojiki, I think that's excellent because, as I said, probably the only well-written villain in the series thus far. So, I mean, unless you count Shirogane, because Shirogane's adorable. But, yeah. Either way, still my favorite chapter this week, I think, unironically. I didn't really care for the One Piece chapter, and you guys will see the review as to why. Dr. Stone was on this level, I would argue. Dr. Stone was pretty good, but relatively speaking, nothing crazy happened in Dr. Stone, where this was character development-wise, and if you guys know anything about me and all the reviews I've done, you know that character development for me is one of the most important aspects for a great chapter. So, where this one had character development, I argue it's better than the Dr. Stone chapter. Sacramento Days, let's see, what else? Black Clover, all of them. Right here, I think that this, for me, my favorite chapter. Is it the best chapter of the week? Probably not. Probably not. But is it my favorite when I did all my readings? Absolutely. When I read all these on Sunday, I said, I think I like this one the best. It's just me. But what do you guys think about it? Let me know down in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And the fourth and most important thing is to drink responsibly, as I always do. And happy Thanksgiving to all Canadians out there, or anybody else who celebrates Canadian Thanksgiving. Hell, I celebrate both, because why not take two holidays? I celebrate American and Canadian. Come on, guys. Spread the love. What's wrong with one extra holiday, right? So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoyed the review. Hope to see you guys back here next time for Chapter 64 of Ayakashi Triangle. We'll see you next time. Peace out.